Hey guys, Brett Legwood here, author of the 3+1 Plan and chairman of YPC Group. What I wanted to explain to you today was the two key documents. These are the two documents that are at the very core of everything we do. Now, look, when most people buy property, what they do is they go and they find they get given a glossy brochure by the real estate agent. Looks fantastic, lots of photos, map of the area, all these sort of things. And realistically, what these are trying to do is evoke an emotional response, okay? And that's what these are there for. They're not necessarily, they've got a bit of data in there, but a top level data. Now, my concern with this, if you make a decision based on purely upon what a building looks like in maybe a fancy diorama or a picture or that, the 3D computer generated images sort of thing, CGI, plus this brochure, you're not getting anywhere near as much detail as you should be. So look, what we do is we throw this out. Well, we don't throw it out, we actually do use this because it is good for all the photos and that sort of thing. But every single property you're going to buy through YPC, we do what's called the 89-point due diligence checklist, okay? It's 89 questions that we have to answer for every single property that we sell, okay? And it's about 30 pages long, and it gets into some huge depth. So what I want to do is I want to take you through this, because this is a key document, and in this case I'm going to take you through Napier, West 3, Bromyard Avenue, basically it's in West 3 in London. So it's a London property, done by Berkeley Homes, great development, we've been selling it for a few years now. But this is just an example. Every single property you buy will have this level of depth, okay? So let's have a look. All right, so obviously front page, no problems. We've got a quick checklist. So what we do with a quick checklist, it's basically, if it fails a quick checklist, we don't even go any further. So it saves us time and it saves you time. But pretty much by the time you see this, you're going to know that it's going to pass the quick checklist. We've then got specification, costs, location, leisure and amenities. We've got future of the area, history of the area, the site visit, and then other information. So a whole range of stuff. But what I want to do is I want to take you through, and I'm just going to skip through it because it's 30 pages long, and give you the main points, okay? So every single question we ask of this has 3 parts. So first question, is there a 60-40 split of homeowners to investors, all right? Now, rather than just saying yes or no, and really that doesn't add any value to you, okay? What we do, every single question, we ask the question, we explain why we ask the question, and then we give you the answer, all right? So what that does is that educates you while you're actually doing this. So what we suggest in a lot of cases is before you buy a property from us, run through a few examples, get to know this document, okay, and the cash flow, which I'll go through in a minute. Because the better you get to know those documents, the more prepared you are, the less emotional you are, the better it is. Okay, so then if we keep flicking through, so everywhere where we've got a website, we'll put it in there, and you can actually click through on that website if you want to. So this is the sort of stuff, because what we're after here is total transparency. We want you to be able to replicate the data exactly as we have it. And so what we do is, in this case, question 13, are we satisfied with comparables obtained, both from sales and rental perspective? But rather than just saying yes, okay, we actually show you how to do that. So go to Rightmove, press the for sale tab, type in the first part of the postcode, plus or minus 3 miles, blah, 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 bit by bit, and then these are the results you'll get. So so if you did that, you would get these photos, okay, you would get these properties. All about transparency and you being able to replicate the data that we do. Because as much as it's about selling lots of property, it's about educating you so you become a professional investor. Okay, so, and then you can, we've got the comparables there, but you can see we've got all sorts of questions here. I'll just give you some examples of questions. We've got maps here, but here's some questions. What's the closest town with 50,000 people or more? And the closest major city to the development, how far is it away? Major motorways, what's the closest airport? What's the closest mainline tube station? So all this sort of stuff. What are the sites nearby? Closest cinema, library, gym, leisure centre, primary school, secondary school, university. So all this is answered in this document, okay? It goes way beyond what anyone else I've seen in the UK market offers, or in fact in any market. And the reason I do this is because I believe it's one of my core philosophies around getting that depth in due diligence, okay? So everywhere, we're working through, there's future of the area, so there's research about regeneration, what's happening, and we put all the links there so you can link and see those documents as well. Now, I just want to take you through. Then we've got affluence ratings, we've got price history of the area, we've got credit ratings for people in the area. the site visit, what happened on the site visit, what was it like, was it, the general feel. We've got, now if we go to question, hold on, 87, 5 letting agents in the area. And this is one of the key, because as much as it's about, we're about transparency, we're about educating you, we're about putting all the information, depth of research, all that, really, we want to make sure that you second guess every bit of information we've given, okay? So rather than just saying 5 letting agents in the area, here's the name of them, and I cut and paste it from some website, we're actually going to give you, how we do the call. We're going to give you then who it was. So for instance, Suzanne from Winkworth, Nick from Churchill Estate Agents. So these are actual people that you can phone up, and their phone numbers, addresses, everything's there. So you can actually go about finding out that information. And this goes far beyond anyone else and anything you've probably seen before. So it's really good. And the idea is that you can second guess this. There's total transparency, so there's no coming back to us and saying, well, you didn't tell us that. Everything we do, we just put in this, okay? And so it ends up being 30 pages long, 31 pages, 29 pages. The fact is, that's a lot of information. Most of the competitors I see working at, they have 3 or 4 pages, and half of those are photos, okay? Or, if you're dealing directly with a developer, they give you a glossy brochure, okay? And maybe a cash flow worksheet that has very limited information on it. So, that's the due diligence, okay? It's all about transparency, it's all about depth in research. It's all about learning about the fundamentals, the good solid fundamentals, the shops, schools, transport links, major employers, major investments. But that's not all, okay? Because that's only half the story. The other half, and this is the real decision maker. So we'll leave the due diligence now, and what I want to do is take it across to the 2-year cash flow.